Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where I talk crypto and science behind investing regularly. Now, today we need to discuss and assess where we are in this market cycle for XRP, because I believe the price action is now at ground zero and a blast off is near. Now, yes, don't just start, looking at this 2000% which I am showing here, because you have to actually look at the background as well. Look, instead, this 2000% here, you can actually see 8,000, 70,000. We are not actually talking about these gigantic trends. I believe because we are in the first stage of a bull market, we are, at least I'm not looking at 70% rise or 80 or 8,000. Instead, we are actually being conservative, looking at this 2000% year. Now, the reason for that is, during the first cycle of the market bull trend or uptrend, it's only few guys who will understand that the wind is changing its direction, and you have to position yourself, because afterwards it's the second stage and most of the guys will be coming and joining the party. And there are latecomers too. I definitely agree with that. Now, in this one, this chart is a 12-hour chart of XRP USD, and I'm trying to illustrate using GAN chart. Now, this line, black line here, is not actually in the GAN chart. I added it based on my idea, connecting these resistance here and these supports here, but this one actually exists within GAN. As you can see, it's plotted here. Now, if you actually look at this, you can actually see a broadening wedge, which is, as we talked in the previous videos, a reversal pattern. So while coming up from here all the way down, we bottomed here and we started our reversal, we hit back here. Now, when we actually look at this, we also need to understand that the patterns are not only happening in this particular asset, right? It's also in other assets as well. This is another one asset, that's gold. As you can see, it also came way up from the top here and it bottomed, you can see that, and it also moved in a broadening wedge pattern. And what you have to think is, after making that broadening wedge, it didn't actually move within that pattern. Instead, it just blew off. Now we have to see whether this is a fake out and it's coming back in the trend and moving within this range, or flirting with that area. Okay, now that's a different story. We'll go, if my viewers are interested in gold, yes, I'll cover them for you. If you guys recognize value from this video, please do like, subscribe, and press the bell notification icon. Anyway, coming back into the XRP one, we actually understood that there are something brewing in the market. Like, the strength is increasing. As you can see, the volume is increasing. Now, these encircled areas here is indicating the 50-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average. Now, yes, all the golden crosses are not that much bullish. It actually depends on where you are at that time in that market cycle. So we had golden cross here, we didn't do much. Instead, we came back down. We had golden cross here, we didn't do much. Instead, we came back down. The same actually happened with us previously too. We had a golden cross here, we were all thrilled, but it just came back down here. Now, this is actually based on the area where we are. Now, that is the issue. Like, when we actually talk about this, we don't actually consider currently in which position we are. We have to actually check that too. So if we actually look at the signs, it actually shows you. Now, yeah, there are different methods and patterns to illustrate that, but the one we use in this platform is mostly Wyckoff pattern. And if you see that, we can consider this as a spring, and it's also validated by the broadening wedge pattern, or the rounding bottom pattern, or the head and shoulder, which is kind of forming out here. Now, this one arrows directing towards the price high, and I'll actually describe why we are bouncing like this and why we will have probably a consolidation here. And that is mainly because of the pattern which we were actually discussing, like the Wyckoff pattern. In that, if you analyze this, you can actually understand the price actually come down. It changed its direction. It had a spring. It went up and tested that area once. twice and then moved up and then came back down. Now I personally believe now okay, instead of what I believe, I'll actually show you guys the chart. So say now look at this chart, concentrate, say where we are. This is the spring, this is the retest, the LPS or the last point of support, and then the build cost or supply and demand from where it's gonna bump up above the previous highs. So if we actually look that back in this one, you can actually see this is the previous top here. Now I'm not actually considering this as a top based on Wyckoff because that's around 0.7. Instead I'm looking at this because we traded in this area for a long period. I believe when we come back up, this area will act as a huge resistance. So now that's the reason I'm focusing like that. Now say if we are to move to the upside, we may have overhead resistance here because it was playing as a support previously and a resistance here. So this will act as a resistance. At the same time, here it's not only that horizontal resistance, we also had the resistance from the top of the broadening wedge. So when we come down and go up next time, it will be only the horizontal resistance. So I hope we'll break through that and then go up to this resistance here and consolidate and then again move to the upside there. Whereas it can take a bit time crossing this area because it's not only the horizontal resistance here, but also the trend line resistance from the GAN. So, it's gonna take some time because it's a previous resistance from all this time. So that's a long-term resistance. Now, at the same time, if you actually have to look at the Wyckoff pattern here, if it break up above the 0.5 mark and trade within this 0.5, 0.7 area consolidating, I believe how much more time it takes, that much more possibility it has to move to the upside. Because if you actually look at that in gold, for instance, say we came there, tried that upper resistance once, and then just broke above, like we just blew off. And if you look at this here, it was the previous high there, but we didn't even came back till that area to retest. So of course, it's not sure that we may come back down here till 0.5, giving you an opportunity to buy again. That's not for sure. Now we'll actually discuss about the next chart actually. So we'll just move from this one. Say this one is a daily chart, a bit longer perspective. In this you can actually see that we are below 200-day moving average, whereas we just saw in the 12-hour chart that we are just above the 200-day moving average. We are getting support there along with the support of the broadening wedge. But here, if we have to move to the upside, we have a resistance instead, right? The 200-day moving average here is going to act as a resistance. And yes, the RSI came way back from the overbought area, oversold area. Now we are somewhere at the bottom. So if we are to get a buying pressure here, then moving up is easy. If you look at the standard deviation previously, it actually wicked. So yes, we can also expect something like this, but it doesn't actually happen all the time, right? So we can actually focus much on grinding slowly to the upside. Now when guys just focus on this one here, the fall, say, oh, we just went down this much. Guys, zoom out and take a look at the entire area, what we are doing. This area was acting as a, you see the first line from the top is acting as a support from a long term, and it was a resistance previously. Now the second one, third one also similar. So if we consider the previous Wyckoff pattern, we can see we made a spring here, then went up once. Now this is the second one. So what do you actually think about this? We came up once, then the second time. Yes, it's not accurate, but it looks similar. Now if we are to move to the upside in this pattern, I see that we will have a resistance here. But if this is true or science is true, yeah, somewhere there of that triangle we'll have a bit of resistance, but we won't come back till here. Instead it will be like this and a break above. But the break above which I showed you, I'm expecting a resistance here, but according to this one, it should actually go above that high. So that's for us about 0.5 here. So then we should actually trade in between 0.5 and 0.7. Now that is an expected area. Now when we are actually looking at this, why we are concentrating much on the broadening wedge? Now this is USD/JPY, another one actually showing you a broadening wedge, and how the price reacted. It just blew off from there. Yeah, it is Forex. It is completely different from crypto, but humans and bots are, algorithm made by humans are similar when they actually use money to make more money. Mhm. So the pattern here is actually valid. You're seeing a support here from a long-term bearish trend, then it just changed its trend, consolidated there, and it showed you a wind of change. Now those guys who understood this here, drawing this line and waiting for a pump to the upside, maybe expecting first here or here, but it actually came here. It took like 1 year, right? So those who waited from there after buying this, I think they got much benefit out of that. Now when we actually plot the GAN in that, you can actually see that it also aligns with that. You can actually see that. Now, yeah, this line is additional what I've plotted here, showing the support here and the resistance here. If you don't want to consider that, it's okay, completely normal. But you can actually see that it's aligning with here, its resistance, a support, a support, support, support. So here it should have been acting as a resistance, but instead it just went through that. Now, why I'm actually pointing towards that? Because in our Gantt chart also, we do have a resistance here. So the probability is that we may just blast through. It is not necessary that we will be waiting there, consolidating much more in this area. Instead, we may just directly go above and consolidate above that, making that area as a support. So guys, we'll just look at the next one, say this one. As we described, the golden crosses are happening every time, and most of the previous times when the golden cross was happening, we were above 50 in the RSI. It's kind of the positive thing. If you are looking at the even previous cycle during 2016, you can actually see that. During as of now, you can see that, and if you zoom out, then also you can actually see that. Now what I'm trying to illustrate here is, but at this particular point we were not actually below the 50. It was similar to this, right? We were staying above, but as of now, if we are looking at the chart, we are not above there. We are below this. So unless until we slowly grind back above 50 in RSI, a gigantic blast off could be delayed. But at the same time, what you have to understand is this golden cross here at this particular time series, where we are. In our previous video in which we described about the time series of extended bear markets and analysis, we had one point in time which was focusing on initial point was on March, say late March. So that's just 20-25 days ahead. If that is to happen, then yes, it may spend a bit of time here consolidating, but that's not so much if you consider in the long term. Say this is kind of the buying point and this is the ground zero. You may not get another opportunity to buy at these levels. Now when I say this, yeah, we have been saying this for a long time, but I was way down at the market cycle, right? The psychology was not this low. People were not bashing XRP this much. Yeah, they were bashing, but not at these levels. So I think this is gonna be the best area if you are thinking based on these charts. Now this is Bollinger Band, and why I'm using Bollinger Band? Yes, most of the guys actually use Bollinger Band to express their opinion about the top and bottom of one cycle, not the entire market cycle, just this one. If you look at that, they got a resistance there, they got a support here. So in that aspect, if you look at this, there is a possibility that the price may consolidate and go down. Oh, that's a bad news, right? But what you have to understand is at the same time, you do have support here. You see the red line where the price is now previously. Now, not now. I took this say a couple of hours before, so it's not couple of hours, at least 5 hours before. So at that time price was here, but now the price is trading above. So that's actually a good news, guys. So consider yourself, do your own research, and think what I have said here. If you have a different opinion, do let me know in the comment section below. So I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.